Jeffrey and Samantha had built a life that, from the outside, looked like a perfectly crafted dream. A beautiful home in the suburbs, 2 well-behaved children, successful careers, Jeffrey as an architect, Samantha as a marketing executive. They were the envy of many, a testament to the modern, thriving couple. But behind the manicured lawn and coordinated holiday cards, cracks were beginning to appear. Jeffrey, always the meticulous planner, noticed subtle shifts first. Samantha's late nights at the office became more frequent, her explanations vaguer. Her phone, once freely left on the kitchen counter, was now a constant companion, guarded with a possessiveness he'd never seen before. The warmth in her eyes, once exclusively reserved for him, seemed to flicker and dim. He tried to brush it off. Pressure at work, perhaps? A phase? He loved Samantha deeply, and the thought of anything truly amiss felt like a betrayal of the life they'd painstakingly constructed. He showered her with affection, planned romantic dinners, and even surprised her with a weekend getaway. But the distance remained, a chasm widening between them. The confirmation, when it came, was brutal and swift. A forgotten laptop, a carelessly left open email. A string of passionate messages between Samantha and a colleague, revealing an affair that had been simmering for months. Jeffrey felt the world tilt on its axis. The air in his lungs turned to lead. He read and reread the words, desperately seeking a different interpretation, a way out of the horrific reality unfolding before him. The confrontation was a blur of tears, denials, and eventually, a tearful confession. Samantha, cornered and exposed, admitted to the affair, blaming it on feeling neglected, overworked, and disconnected. She swore it was a mistake, a momentary lapse in judgment. She begged for forgiveness, promising to end it immediately and dedicate herself to rebuilding their marriage. Jeffrey was devastated. The foundation of his life had crumbled. He looked at Samantha, the woman he had loved and trusted implicitly, and saw a stranger. The pain was almost unbearable, a raw, gaping wound in his soul. He couldn't reconcile the woman before him with the woman he thought he knew. He moved out the next day. The following months were a dark and agonizing blur. Lawyers, divorce papers, dividing assets, the cold, clinical process stripped away the last vestiges of their shared life. He threw himself into his work, designing buildings as a way to create structure and order in his own chaotic world. He went to therapy, trying to unpack the years of shared history, the hopes and dreams that had been shattered. He learned to navigate the world as a single father, balancing his career with the demands of raising his children. He struggled with loneliness, with the gnawing feeling of emptiness that settled in his bones at night. He missed the companionship, the intimacy, the simple comfort of sharing his life with someone. Slowly, painstakingly, he began to heal. He reconnected with old friends, took up new hobbies, and started to rediscover who he was outside of his marriage. He learned to forgive himself for not seeing the signs, for not being able to prevent the unraveling. A new dawn. Years passed. The rawness of the initial pain faded, replaced by a dull ache, a scar that served as a constant reminder of his past. He started dating again, tentatively at first, then with more confidence. He met kind, intelligent women, but none of them felt quite right. He was wary of repeating past mistakes, hesitant to fully open his heart again. Then he met Olivia. Olivia was an artist, a free spirit with a contagious laugh and eyes that sparkled with intelligence and warmth. She was everything Samantha wasn't, spontaneous, adventurous, and unapologetically herself. She saw Jeffrey not as a successful architect or a divorced father, but as a man with a kind heart and a gentle soul. They bonded over shared interests, a love for art, travel, and long conversations that stretched late into the night. Olivia didn't pry into his past, but she listened patiently when he chose to share. She offered him empathy and understanding, without judgment or pity. With Olivia, Jeffrey felt a sense of peace he hadn't known was possible. He felt seen, appreciated, and loved for who he was, flaws and all. He realized that love wasn't about perfection or a perfectly crafted image, but about acceptance, vulnerability, and a deep connection of souls. They fell deeply in love. He introduced her to his children, who adored her instantly. She brought a lightness and joy into their lives that had been missing for years. He proposed on a windswept beach, watching the sunset paint the sky in hues of orange and gold. She said yes, her eyes brimming with tears of happiness. Jeffrey felt like he had been given a second chance at life, a chance to build a new foundation, stronger and more resilient than the first. He had finally closed the chapter on his past and was ready to embrace the future with Olivia by his side. Echoes of the past. They were a year into their marriage, settled into a comfortable routine. One evening, as they were preparing dinner, the doorbell rang. Jeffrey opened the door to find Samantha standing on his porch. He was taken aback. He hadn't seen her in years, not since the finalization of the divorce. She looked older, her face etched with lines of regret. Her hair, once perfectly styled, was now pulled back in a messy bun. "Jeffrey, can we talk?" she asked, her voice trembling. He hesitated. He didn't want to open old wounds, to dredge up the pain he had worked so hard to overcome. But he couldn't bring himself to turn her away completely. "Come in," he said, stepping aside. He led her into the living room, where Olivia was waiting, her expression a mixture of curiosity and concern. He introduced them, the air thick with unspoken tension. Samantha sat down on the edge of the sofa, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. She avoided eye contact with both of them. "I know this is unexpected," she began, her voice barely a whisper. "But I needed to see you. I needed to tell you that I'm sorry." She launched into a long, rambling apology, recounting the mistakes she had made, the pain she had caused. She admitted that the affair had been a terrible mistake, a moment of weakness that had cost her everything. She confessed that she had never stopped loving him, that she had always regretted her actions. Jeffrey listened in silence, his heart a mixture of pity and resentment. He had heard these words before, years ago, when they still held the power to wound him. Now they felt hollow, empty of meaning. "I know it's too late," Samantha continued, tears streaming down her face. "I know I can't undo what I did. But I wanted you to know that I understand the magnitude of my mistake. I understand what I lost." She looked up at him, her eyes pleading. "I want you back, Jeffrey. I want us to be a family again." The words hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. Jeffrey looked at Olivia, her hand resting gently on his arm, her eyes filled with unwavering love and support. He knew, in that moment, that he had made the right choice. He had found happiness, a genuine and lasting love, with a woman who cherished and respected him. He turned back to Samantha, his voice calm and resolute. "Samantha, I appreciate your apology. I truly do. But it's too late. A lot of time has passed. I've moved on. I'm happy now. I'm married to Olivia, and we have a good life together." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "I forgive you, Samantha. For my own sake, I forgive you. But I can't give you what you want. I can't go back to the past." Samantha's face crumpled. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. She simply nodded, tears still streaming down her face. She stood up, her shoulders slumped with defeat. "I understand," she said, her voice barely audible. "I just needed to say it. I needed you to know." She turned and walked out of the house, leaving Jeffrey and Olivia standing in the living room, the echoes of the past fading into the silence. Jeffrey wrapped his arms around Olivia, holding her close. He knew that the encounter with Samantha had been a test, a reminder of the pain he had overcome. But it had also reaffirmed his love for Olivia, his commitment to their future. He had built a new life, a better life, with a woman who truly loved him. The past was behind him, and the future was bright, filled with the promise of happiness and enduring love. The moral of the story is that healing and growth come from letting go of the past and embracing the future with those who truly value and respect you. Betrayal can shatter even the strongest foundations, but through self-discovery, resilience, and the willingness to move forward, one can find genuine love and happiness again. Forgiveness is powerful, but it does not mean revisiting past wounds. It means choosing peace over pain and prioritizing the love that nurtures, not the one that destroyed.